a brand that would resonate to everyone, meaning that regardless of whichever walk of life you come from or from whatever stage you are in your life, whether you're a preschooler starting to dance at the age of 18 months old, or whether it's like yourself that you're coming to ballet at a later stage in life, that there's something for you when it's accessible. And the idea of Epiphany is when you have that light bulb moment.
Welcome to episode number 17 of the 100 Successful Women, a Conversation to Inspire series. So I wanted to say Happy Easter to you all out there. I know I missed saying this to you last week as I decided to take a break because of the Easter break. And also I had a bad flu that I decided to give myself a break. As you can hear, my voice is still a little bit cooked at the moment, but I'm so grateful to be back again in this episode to share with you guys another wonderful woman. So I decided to give myself a break, as I mentioned, because self-care is very important, especially for us women. So in this episode, I have someone whom I really admire joining us in our conversation. So Sarah Ellen Maxwell is my little girls dancing teacher for the past 5 years. So now she's not only my little girls dancing teacher, but also my very own ballet teacher as well. So throughout these years, I have seen Sarah putting together various dancing concerts, and her passion with all her students and her dedication for dancing is contagious. Sarah is an excellent teacher who is super patient with her students despite their age and skill level. So to me, Sarah is a superwoman who really has everything together, and I have never seen her lose her cool despite working in a very high pressure situation. So I'm so grateful to have her on this episode to share with us her tips and insight on how she is able to have everything under control. So let's all have a listen to Sarah sharing coming up next. Hello, Sarah. I'm so excited that you are here with me today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, Vivienne. I'm really excited to be part of what you're creating here and talking to so many fabulous women, which I think is a really powerful and inspiring thing to be doing.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I know that I got to speak to you because I always so admire your work ethic and see how you do your work is so amazing. That's why today I told myself I've got to have Sarah here to pick her brain.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sarah, I know that from my point of view, I know that you are a mom, you're a dance teacher, you are a CEO of Epiphany and a HR manager at Solotel. So do you want to tell the listener who is really Sarah Maxwell?
Wow, that's a big question. Okay, that's got me thinking. In terms of who I am, look, the way that I would define that, I've never been asked that question before.
Oh.
And I think now at this stage in my life where I see myself is that definitely I'm a mum, that's number one. To Ruby Rose, having a child later in life, everything else has sort of come first. In terms of my own personal, ambitions and aspirations, being very focused on career and I suppose having aspiration where you've got this opportunity in life to do and to make the most of it. So go for it has always been my philosophy, and you can always sleep and have a rest later, but grab hold of every opportunity. But now I sort of see that slightly differently. That's still a priority. But what else is important is being a mother is number one, and that has definitely changed my identity in a way and made me have to change the way that I approach things as well, because you've got another human in your life. But in terms of who I am, I like to see myself as someone who can see an opportunity and will go for it, is ambitious, but I like to take people with me and to approach things in a way that, you know, celebrate the wins, but also celebrate the people around you that have been part of your success is really important. Always a dancer at heart, and always will be. So that's why I'm still doing that. That was my first career, was being a professional dancer. And then I went to university later in life and started to study business, HR and employment law, which led me into a corporate career, and being in an executive position is really exciting, especially as a female. Being part of the executive team has been wonderful, and part of a company that celebrates diversity and is truly inclusive and very open-minded when it comes to the way that they do business. But with my dancing, it's going to be there forever. So hence the reason why I thought, well, everything I've learned in business, I can transfer that into my teaching and have my own studio and do it my way and be able to create something special. So in answer to your question, who am I? I'm a bit of a mix of someone who is analytical but very creative, which is a strange combination. A mother, but someone who is very ambitious as well about career. And I feel that you can do it all. When people say, oh, you can't sacrifice this and you can't do that, something has to be the priority. Yes, to a certain extent, but if you really want to do it all and make it all happen, you will figure it out. Just make sure you've got people supporting you that are cheering you on in your corner, but you can do it all.
That's why I love what Sarah is doing. I see that she's basically, like she says, she can have it all. She put everything together as if she always have things together. That's why I'm so amazed with your work ethic and the way that you do things. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Sarah. And I love that. Yeah, everyone have their stages in their life whereby you had at the beginning you think that is everything, it's the work is priority, but now you know that you got Ruby Raw, so it's a different perspective in life for you as well.
Absolutely. And I think throughout life, it's really important that you listen to the right voices, because you can hear at a young age, oh, you must do this. You must go to, for example, university straight out of school. You must, like, there's this plan, but you can blow up that plan and do it your own way and do other things and then go to uni, or go to uni straight away, or whichever path you want to take. It's what I think is really important. The same with starting a family. It's, I had people saying to me, oh, aren't you worried that what if you can't have a child? You know, you're nearly 40, you are 40. And I said, it's okay. It's part of my plan. I really want to do it. I'll make sure it happens. And I was very fortunate that it did. But I think my approach has always been go against the norm and do it your way. And don't be influenced by people that are trying to tell you to do things in a certain way. But definitely take on advice, but take on the advice that helps you achieve your passions rather than create barriers to you doing what it is that you want to do.
Wow, I love that. I love that you blow up the plan and then do it according to your way. That's so true, because it's always the society who thought that this is supposed to be the plan, but in actual fact, we actually can do it in a different ways as long as it suits what you are doing, right?
Yep. If that's what your heart tells you to do it.
That's such an important piece of advice for people out there, because that's everyone has been thinking that, oh, if I don't do it, I'm not doing it right, and then people worry about what people think of them.
Yeah. That's so true, because when you think about life, there is no right or wrong in how you tackle it. You create your own destiny at the end of the day. So carve that out for yourself. And ultimately, you know, kindness is important along the way, and good values. But yeah, do it your way is what I say.
I love that. So for those of you listening out there, if you're curious, how do I get to know Sarah? She was actually the dancing teachers for my girl for probably around 5 years. And recently, she is also my dancing teachers as well. I learned dancing finally with Sarah, even though I still having problems memorizing all the ballet terms.
You're doing so well. You're doing awesomely. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really love what Sarah is doing. And as you all know, as I mentioned earlier, she's the founder of Epiphany Dance Co. So why is it Epiphany?
Yeah. So when I rebranded the studio to Epiphany, I wanted to create a brand that would resonate to everyone, meaning that regardless of whichever walk of life you come from or from whatever stage you are in your life, whether you're a preschooler starting to dance at the age of 18 months old, or whether it's like yourself that you're coming to ballet at a later stage in life, that there's something for you when it's accessible. And the idea of Epiphany is when you have that light bulb moment. So it's that Epiphany moment, which is sort of our, I suppose, slogan or hashtag, where it's a moment in time where you fall in love with something, or you achieve something, or finally it all starts to make sense to you. So an Epiphany moment could happen on the stage when you're performing. It could happen in class. It could happen when you finally nailed that triple pirouette, or you finally got your split, or for a preschooler being able to go into the class on their own without their parent. You know, they're all Epiphany moments. So it's about memorable times in your life that you'll experience as part of the dance family. And I think the word epiphany is actually quite a powerful and inspiring word. And then obviously dance is in there from an advertising. You need to have dance in there to make sure people know what you're doing. And then the co part is actually part of a bigger strategy longer term of creating, not only having the dance studio, but having a professional company, an agency that could potentially run professional shows, which we've already booked one in for the 2nd of June at Dalton House. Professional show where the girls, you know, will be paid as professional dancers to perform at a black tie event, and along with creating some form of agency longer term for, you know, talent management and for opportunities for paid work. So that's what the co is. So the company's been structured in a way to enable growth and business innovation into the future.
That's very impressive. And like you say, the Epiphany words is very inspiring, and then such a beautiful words that you have and the beautiful things that you are creating for the girls. I'm so grateful that we are part of Epiphany as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I know that you have been dancing since the age of 15. So what inspired you, or is it someone that influenced you to be a dancer?
Yeah, so my family, everybody danced on my father's side of the family, so the Maxwell side of the family, and also worked in hospitality. So all the women danced and all the men worked in hospitality. I've done both. But the reason I started dancing was that my cousin returned from overseas, and she set up her own dance studio, and I was her first student. So I started dancing later in life. I was 10 when I started, and then I didn't start ballet until I was 12. So then there was a big plan around fast tracking my training to be able to then go to Vienna. So I went overseas in the age of 14 and trained in the Vienna State Opera School, a contemporary school in Germany. So I was there in Europe on my own at 14.
Wow.
In a ballet school. So that was my goal. When I started ballet, I fell in love with it, and I wanted to know straight away. I was very curious, like, this whole world of ballet, where do I need to go to train? how do I get involved in it longer term? So I was overseas at 14, and then from there did various other things, and then returned from being a professional dancer. Then I came back to Australia at 25, 26. So I spent a big part of my life outside of Australia, left at 14 and came back at 25 or 26. So, yeah, I've been very fortunate to have lots of opportunities in Europe, Asia, and in different parts of the world. So,
wow. So you spent a big part outside of Australia on your own.
yes, I did year 10, 11 and 12 by correspondence. And back in my day, because I'm old, there was no email. So I would do all of my work by hand or on a typewriter, package it all up into an envelope and send it back to my mum. I was fearful that my work wouldn't get to the school or be lost in snail mail. So I'd post it back to my mum, and then my mum would take it to the correspondence school to ensure that it was all handed in. And then I would fly back to Australia for exams. So I'd come back to Australia, go back to my old high school and do all of my exams that way, because there wasn't e-learning or email or Zoom or, anything. So if I wanted to do it, I had to ensure that there was the affordability to get on planes and go backwards and forwards to get through my year 12.
Wow, I love your dedication, because you not only have doing what you're passionate about, dancing, and you're still doing school as well.
Yeah, and I was very lucky. I had parents who said to me, it's very important to finish your schoolwork. We know that you will do it. And I said, I promise you that if you allow me to go and train in Vienna, in Germany, I will do my work and I'll send it back to you and I'll always be on time. That was the deal. And I always enjoyed studying anyway, so it wasn't a difficult thing to do. But the most challenging thing was, in those ballet schools overseas, you also had to do your schoolwork, but in German. So I had to do their classes in German, which was very challenging because I didn't really know what was going on, plus then do my own work, Australian work, and send it back. So, but if you're organised, you get it done, you find a way.
Wow, I love that you're very ambitious, or you have you're so goal orientated. You know what you want to do at such a young age. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Sarah. I really love that story of you. So I know that you have been a dance studio manager, a director, and also in HR. So what's the difference between these two roles?
With my role at Solotel, now that I've stepped into an executive management position, although I head up HR functionally, I also have accountability on overall business performance as an executive manager. So even though I influence, obviously, HR strategy and all things people and culture, I'm still expected to be across what we're doing in terms of our growth plans, our financial management, performance of all of the venues, and be involved in the other areas of business, whether it be marketing or events. So what's been great about that is it's all very transferable to bring that back to my own business of being, a general manager, not just a HR manager, and being across, all business functions. And what I love about, I suppose, having Epiphany Dance Co and being the owner is that I've got full creative direction that I can visualize and execute my way, which is exciting. And, learning from those at Solotel who are experts in marketing, experts in events, experts in commercial, I can learn from them and, bring that back to my own business. So it's all connected.
Wow. That's why you have all these knowledge and skills that you can put into your business, and you always have everything so organized.
Thank you. And I think a big part of, working in HR, there's a lot of synergies with being a dance teacher, because in HR, it's about people, it's about culture, it's about coaching, it's about training people, it's about having a great team. And the same as being a dance teacher, it's about coaching, it's about communication, building a nice studio culture, having good teachers as part of your team, and hiring good people to work for you. So it's very, there's a lot of alignment between dance and HR. in terms of the skills.
Yeah, the culture is one of the big part for many organizations, I would say.
Yeah. And even at work when we have special events on and they ask me, oh, do you want to, host this panel or jump on and do this? I always say yes. Excuse me. I always say yes because it's the theatrical side in me of being a dancer and performing. I'm happy to jump on a stage with a microphone anytime. So all of those things you learn in the dance environment, you take back to the workplace. They give you confidence, independence, a performance quality where you're happy to jump up and speak in front of people. So, learning dance isn't just about learning movements. It's also different attributes and interpersonal skills that you learn.
Yeah, because you are on the stage and you have been like out there all the time, so it shouldn't be a problem for you. And talking about people, I know that you are the people and performance director at Solotel. So with the people, because everything is about people, everything is about relationship. So what is your tips, or what are the things that you learn when you are dealing with people? Is there any tips that you can share with others out there?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of working and dealing with people every day, I think it's being very mindful of differences and wanting to listen, but really listen to what people have to say before, listen rather than start to formulate your response. Just listen and digest what people have to say, I think is really important. Recognizing that, people are different and being open-minded in terms of others' viewpoints and how they see the world is really important. I think the other part is, empathy and compassion and generosity, values that Solotel really uphold, and it's part of our culture in terms of how we do business and how we deal with the people. It's that you need to understand that things go wrong. People have bad days. We all have our lives that are busy and things happen, that you need to empathize with that and show that compassion when people may be experiencing some bad times or having some personal challenges, that you're willing to actually show that you care about that and that you want to understand and support that person, rather than leading everything by, have you got the job done? Have you done the task? Are you performing at a high level? But getting to know the person below the surface and what makes them tick is the best way to coach someone, because then they'll be far more successful if you relate to them as a person rather than relate to them as a job role.
Wow, that's amazing. That's why I think you're one of the well sought after people and performance director, and that's why you got so good with HR. I love that. That's so much important pieces that you just shared. Compassion is definitely one of them, being empathetic, and then to know how people are different as well.
Yeah, no, it's really important. I think that even this year's International Women's Day theme, I thought was really, really powerful, which was only last week, where, we talk a lot about equality, but it's more than equality. It's about equity. So it's about people understanding that people start from different positions. People start from a different point in whether it's their life or their situation or their circumstance, that you need to recognise in order to then enable people to achieve true equality, is understanding that we're not all equitable to start with. So I think that was a really powerful theme that I've taken a lot from, that I think is really important in leadership, is that you don't just think, well, I've given everyone the same amount of time to complete X. Are there other factors that need to be taken into consideration with that person's life that will enable them to be more successful, if you know what that is? Does that make sense? That
yes,
not everyone's starting from the same position.
For sure.
So, and I thought that was a really powerful position and message from International Women's Day that can be not just taken in consideration for women, just for people in general.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone start from different situation, like you say, and then everyone have different circumstances as well. Yeah, I love that. I love your relationship with people and how you're so compassionate and calm with others. So I'm just wondering, are you always this calm?
I do scream on the inside. I don't know if that's healthy, but yeah, I have my moments where, look, on the inside I'm like, but on the outside I know that I need to, demonstrate that calmness and to ensure that I don't display too much intensity, because that's something I've learned in my career, that in my early stages of my HR career, I was very go, 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 like hit the goal, hit the goal, hit the goal. And I'm that type of person. I don't need to sleep a lot. I have a lot of energy just in general, but others don't necessarily see that the same way. So if you drive everything with a lot of intensity at 100 mile an hour all the time, others feel like they can't keep up with that. And it's actually a deterrent as a leader. They're being inspiring. It's sort of like, oh, this person never stops. They're 100 mile an hour. I can't keep up. Best that I just not be involved anymore. So I've learned that lesson as well, that, it's important to show composure and calmness and not run at everything so fast, and make sure people are keeping up with you along the way.
Wow. That's a lesson that you learn along the way, right? And I really Sarah sometimes to me she's crazy, because that's like you say, she don't sleep and then she work long hours, but then I can see that, how can she do that? Because I never see you like blow off or something like that. Yeah, that's very intense, but I love that you, like you say, you learn it along the way. People have different pace, but then you have been that compassion leaders. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that as well. And then another thing is that I know that I stumbled across the video where you do ambassador for Good Life.
Oh, wow.
That's a very motivational video.
And yes. Yeah.
What's the story about that video?
The story behind that is, again, as you mentioned, I like to set goals on pretty much everything. So even with my health and fitness and my training, when I was doing that video, I was very much into a certain type of training in the gym. So then I started doing competitions around that fitness training, because for me, I find that you need to have purpose behind the things that you do. And even just training at the gym, rather than just say, oh, okay, I'm going to the gym just to be healthy, I had to have like a purpose and a set of goals, like an end result. That's just me. So there were all these competitions and things going. So I did, the fitness comps, and then there was this brand ambassador competition thing that I entered as well, just so I had motivation to keep the training going and to get my training to the highest level, is to set those goals along the way. So that was just one of those things that I went, oh, that's pretty cool. I might enter that and do that as well and be part of it. Sounds like fun.
That's amazing, because I see that, wow, that's a lot of intense work that you did as well from that training.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Amazing. That's a bit like it's a lot, and then I'm so amazed by what you do, and then probably from that training you have so much transformation as well.
Yeah, and that was training that was happening at like 4:30 in the morning, so before work, 4:30 to about 6:30 in the morning.
Oh wow, that's so cool, because I saw, wow, that's I love that you know that once you set your goals, you have to get to it.
Yeah. Just pushes you that little bit harder. So
yeah, it's important that you keep pushing, and then you are one great example of that.
Thank you. I can't believe you found that.
Yeah, it's that, because if we search the name, it's on there.
Yeah.
I really love that video. I love that video is basically like a lot of motivational videos out there. And then I say, I got to maybe keep that video and share it with more people out there to show how motivating Sarah is.
Thank you.
So, and another thing is that you mentioned earlier, you play different roles as well in your life now, and then being moms and work, and then the owner of a dancing studio. So how do you juggling between all this work and family?
Yeah, look, I like a list, and everything's in my diary in terms of my diary Outlook. No, more of my Outlook diary. Everything's in my phone, so very organized in terms of what I have on every day. So I'm looking at, say, for example, today, I was looking at that last night and getting prepared for all the things that were in my diary for today so that I've got a head start in the morning. And then I like a list, a manual list. I write it down, I tick it off. That gives me pleasure that I've completed the tasks, and also I think keeps me clear-headed and calm, that I know what I need to get done. Because I think sometimes we can feel overwhelmed and anxious by all the things and all the balls up in the air that we need to do. If you just write it down and just systematically step through it and tick it off, you feel better. Small goals along the way. And then just being really clear on my plan. So I have a business plan for the studio. You would have seen the studio calendar of all the events that are happening across the year. So I pre-planned those in January. So I know exactly what we want to do outside of class time. And if it's a comp or something, I get all the entries and all the things in really early, so it's all done. And then, meetings with the team. Team for me is the most important part to success. If you don't have the right people around you, then you can't achieve it. You can't get it done. And having trust in your team to get the work done and not micromanaging and things like that's really important. So as you would know, with the next phase of Epiphany, like year 2 of the business, we are open more days, but those days I'm not there, so I've got to put trust in my team. They know what the business goals are. They know what the studio values are. They're across. I'm very transparent with the business goals. We had a planning session 2 weeks ago at the studio with the whole team, the studio managers and all the teachers. We set our KPIs. We identified our point of difference. And I have them involved in that, so they've got a voice to motivate them to want to hit those goals as well. So team for me is really important to be able to achieve, having good people around you, but also at home, I've got an amazing team. My husband's amazing. Like he will do Ruby Rose's hair to get her ready for school. He will take her to dancing because I'm there on Saturday. So he will bring her and do her hair in buns and put a leotard on. Like, he's heavily involved in her activities. And very supportive of me having 2 jobs. So he does all the cooking. I do all the washing. So we have a really good plan at home that works. And then at Solotel, I've got an amazing HR team who I can rely on, who are passionate people, who are also very aligned. Like, we're very similar in terms of our lives and where we're at as well with children. So there's a lot of understanding and flexibility. And if we need to leave early, they'll say to me, I'm on pickup today. And I'm like, yep, I'm on pickup today. So, we take turns on who leaves early. It's all about, I think, the success comes from being highly organised, but having the right team. The team is who enables you to be successful. It's not just you, it's the people around you. And if you trust them and you empower them, then they'll work really well for you and they'll want to do a good job for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's why HR play a very important role. And I love that you firstly lead yourself, because you organize yourself and plan ahead on everything. And then you then able to lead your team who have trust in you and then willing to work for you. And I love that. And I did see the pictures of you having that meeting with the teachers. And I love that the younger teachers actually learn from you. and they have a very great role model to learn from.
Thank you. And they had fabulous ideas. You know, sometimes we think, oh, you need to have X amount of experience, blah, blah, blah. Actually, you don't. If you're passionate about something, you know, ideas will come. And, you know, the younger teachers, they had great thoughts and ideas on how we can do things better and what we can do in the future. And I was really proud of them, like how, you know, vocal and confident they were to speak up, especially when there's some, you know, more mature people that were in the room.
That's right.
But they were happy to still, like be part of it and have a presence.
Yeah, that's shaped them into the future leaders themselves as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I love what you're doing, Sarah. And I really think that you are a great leader. And so, like, it's even not only for leaders as well, it's also very good for to be part, because you are a very good teachers, and also the manager who run the dance studio, because from what the other students are sharing, you have a heart for them. For instance, if it wasn't for you, probably we're not in the dance studio anymore.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's lovely to hear. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's why I thought it's not easy for you to like to show the care for all the students, because it's not only a few students, there are quite a lot of students. Yeah. I really love how you manage the relationship with people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm mindful of the time as well. And before we wrap up, is there anything that you can share as an advice for all the women out there?
My number one is don't be afraid to be yourself, because that's how we should lead the way, is not trying to, and it's really difficult, and this is for even younger women as well, that I was fortunate that I didn't have social media when I was growing up. So I didn't compare myself. And I think that shaped who I am, because, and using a dance example, you know, going to a competition and doing solos, I didn't know who was going to be there. I didn't really know what they were going to do. Whereas now, you know, all the dancers have profiles, they all follow each other, they all know how they're training and where they're at. And then you start comparing and you start to doubt yourself, even outside of dance with social media. Again, people just comparing their lives. You see a lot put out there that is the good bits and not the bad bits, you know. So, and then everyone starts to think, well, maybe their life is better and I'm not doing enough and I'm not good enough. And you start to self-doubt because you're looking at others. Whereas my advice is worry about what you want to achieve and be yourself in that process. Because being different is really cool. Like being the same isn't. Like that's actually quite boring. So, you know, I look at people from different cultural backgrounds and things like that, and I think, how exciting are you? Like, that's really exciting to me. Whereas, you know, my story is I'm Australian, my family is Australian, multiple generations. You know, I'm middle-aged, I'm white, I'm, you know, the typical, you know, married person. I'm not as colourful, you know, as other people with diverse backgrounds. So celebrate that. I think that's fabulous to be different, and to put that out there and have your own look and approach, and don't compare. Who cares? Like, I've had people ask me, so who are your direct competitors with your dance studio? And I said, I don't really know. I think there's one down the road. Oh, do you see what they're doing? It doesn't matter what they do. What matters is what we do, and that it's the Epiphany way and it's different to what everyone else is doing. So why look and compare and copy?
That's
They're getting nowhere.
Wow.
You know? So, and the same with Solotel. You know, we celebrate inclusivity and diversity. Our venues are all different, from the Darlow Bar in Darlinghurst through to Aria, Two-Hatted Restaurant, Matt Moran brand on Macquarie Street in Sydney, Fine Diner. You know, they're all so different. They have their own identities. And then our people are also different and they have their own identities. And we celebrate that. So that's my advice, is that if everyone did that, going back to what we're talking about with International Women's Day, talking about human rights in general, if everyone did that, then we would be truly inclusive and we would be eliminating any sort of discrimination, and those types of things wouldn't exist, because we would be celebrating that difference is great.
That's right.
And I think it starts from our younger generation. If we can teach them that, it's great to be yourself, and it's great to be different, and it's great to be whoever you want to be. Don't compare, then that will lead the way into the future. And I'm quite confident about that. I think young people are quite savvy when it are more accepting and open-minded and more social and in general in terms of how they see the world. But I worry about social media's influence on confidence and young children in how they view themselves.
That's a big part of it. Social media is the one, because people are showing like all these young girls putting on makeups, and then started to influence the younger generation as well. And I really love what you were sharing, because I think that's a very important advice and information, especially for younger girls. And then I love that, because the studios have a lot of young girls dancing, even Beverly's herself. I'm going to crop that part that you just shared and tell her this is what Miss Sarah was saying. And that's very important. Don't compare yourself with others, and then just be your own self and celebrate that everyone is different and everyone have something to give.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope that that's what, we're creating at Epiphany in particular, is that, artistic expression, freedom of movement. That's why I love improvisation. And I've had other studios say to me, gosh, your students are so, they're beautiful technicians, but they've got beautiful artistry and, improvisation. I said, because I encourage it, because you've got to build confidence in allowing them to move freely, improvise, do your own thing, interpret the music, move freely, have the courage to do that, where you know that no one's judging you. I think that's a big thing that holds children back, is the feeling of being judged. And I think dance encourages, the way that we teach, that improvisation piece. I really push that, because it allows them to be themselves and not be afraid to put out their own interpretation of something.
Yeah, that's so true. And I love that you always encourage the kids to go out and try, and then don't restrict yourself just because of certain things, and just be yourself. And I really love your encouragement always.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time with us, Sarah, today. And then it's a lot of valuable messages that you just share, and I think it's very important for everyone out there. So before we go wrap up the session and the session today, is there anything that you would like me to ask that I didn't ask today?
No, I think that was fabulous. It's a great discussion. I could talk for hours just about, humans, and culture and leadership. I love it. And I just think we're so fortunate. I think sometimes we're not always grateful for what we have, and how, I know that sounds cliche, but we really are. And, coming out of COVID, I say to the students all the time, we're so lucky to be in this space and to be doing what we're doing. And the same at Solotel, we're so lucky the venues are open and we're back doing what we love, and, providing an experience to a customer, or providing an experience to a student and a dance parent. We're so lucky to be able to do those things in such a free, open way. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. So, I think it's just being grateful for the opportunities that sometimes we don't see, and they're right in front of us. So we let our own, I suppose, things inside us sometimes hold us back from just doing it.
That's right. It's always so many things to be grateful for if we look at things in a different perspective. And like you say, we are so lucky that we can do a lot of things, and then for you to have students back to studios, and then remember the time when they were doing Zoom and we are all back together, and even on Zoom everyone is working so hard as well. I love that.
Oh gosh, wasn't that was just that whole time, I was really putting on that face on the screen, to project through the screen to the kids that try to make it as positive as possible. But on the inside going, oh, what are we doing? And the show that we put on, though, that was Descendants. Remember, 3 acts of Descendants all learnt on Zoom.
Yeah, that's crazy. You always make things happen. You always once you set your mind to something, you always make things happen. I love that. For those of you out there who never see a show by Epiphany, or you got to be there to see how amazing the work Sarah is doing. I'm so amazed. Putting the stage together, I can't believe, from a piece of wood going to the big stage that we had for that the lion what's that
King?
called?
Yeah.
Yes, Lion King. It's amazing. I'm mind blowing to see what Sarah is doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us, Sarah. I think you have been so kind to share your word of wisdom, and it's so important. I love that we are able to pick your brain today. Like you say, you have so much to share, and then just that the time is not long enough. Hopefully we can hear from you again next time.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me. It was good fun.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.